Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we have a 2020 presidential election matchup between John Kerry on the Democratic side and Donald Trump on the Republican Party side. So Donald Trump is the incumbent president, of course, everyone knows him. And on the Democratic Party side we have John Kerry. He was the Democratic Party's nominee in 2004, but yeah, he lost to incumbent President George W. Bush. And he was the senator from the state of Massachusetts for a long time, and he's the Secretary of State under the Obama administration, and his position as Obama's Secretary of State would help him a bit with African American votes. But yeah, Kerry has that notoriety um, after it's revealed that he probably colluded with the Iran regime to keep in place the Iran deal that he and President Obama just created. But yeah, that's a point that the Trump campaign would be able to use to excoriate it, Kerry. But yeah, Kerry would be able to attack Trump on withdrawing from the Iran deal and um, in his way somehow make the Iran regime able to acquire nuclear weapons, but I'm gonna stay neutral on this. And now let's get to the electoral map. So Kerry would hold on to those Democratic states, of course. Trump has no chance of winning these states. These are too liberal to go to Trump, and DC is to help. It would go to Kerry, and Vermont would go to Kerry, and yeah, Hawaii would go to Kerry. And now we're gonna fill the map with states that would be safe for Trump. I'm giving the entire Nebraska to Trump because the state has changed. I don't think that the Democratic Party would be able to flip the second district. So yeah, it would go to Trump. Oh yeah, Illinois would go to Kerry, of course. So this puts Donald Trump at 170 electoral votes and John Kerry at 182 electoral votes. Oh yeah, I forgot to fill the state of Missouri. I'm sorry, but okay, this puts Donald Trump at 180 electoral votes and John Kerry at 182 electoral votes. So John Kerry would be able to win in New Hampshire because Kerry's a Northerner and he has that Northern appeal. Yeah, he comes from the state of Massachusetts. That's a good reason for him to win the state of New Hampshire, and also Maine's almost all of Maine, but the second district I think would go to Trump because he won that district overwhelmingly by double digits in 2016, and yeah, I think he would be able to hold into that district. So now Kerry would be able to win in Minnesota too because although Trump's popularity is increasing and he has incumbency advantage, of course, but I also think that the state of Minnesota would stay Democratic for a while, but if the Democratic candidate is weak, I think the the state of Minnesota would go to the Republican column. But in this case, I don't think that Kerry's that weak, although he mightn't be able to bring out some enthusiastic voters, but I, I think that Minnesota would stay on his column because yeah, it's a state that he won in 2004 and no Republican president since Richard Nixon has won the state. So yeah, Kerry would be able to win in Minnesota. But Trump would be able to win in Arizona, North Carolina, and Florida because these three states voted for him in 2016 and they didn't vote for Kerry in 2004. And Arizona and North Carolina, of course, has they have that red identity, and in the state of Florida, it Florida is trending Republican, although there's a growth in Hispanic population and influx of Puerto Ricans and also reenfranchisement of former felons, but um, Trump's approval among the among Hispanic voters, a Harvard poll found recently that President Trump's approval among Latino voters has increased by 10%, if I recall it correctly. So yeah, that would help him hold on to the state of Florida, and yeah, that would also help him to hold on to the state of Nevada because his approval there is pretty high, and yeah, his popularity among Hispanic voters is increasing. So I would call that state for Trump, but the state of Colorado and New Mexico would go to the Democratic Party. Although Kerry didn't win these two states, George W. Bush won these two states, but now these two states have changed. They have become more and more democratic, more and more liberal, and I don't think that a candidate like Donald Trump would be able to win these two states. And it's the same situation in the state of Virginia. Since 2008, the state of Virginia has moved more left and left, and the state has changed. So I don't think that Trump would be able to win the state of Virginia, even though Kerry didn't win the state in 2004. Anyway, now Trump would be in Iowa because it's a rural area, and yeah, it's more and more Republican. So, and Kerry didn't win the state. And Ohio would go to Trump because he won this state by a big margin in 2016, and Kerry lost this state in 2004. I don't see the Democratic Party coming to win this state back. And the state of Wisconsin would go to Donald Trump because the state of Wisconsin, a lot of counties in this state have become more and more conservative, and yeah, Kerry wouldn't be able to win in Wisconsin, and this puts Donald Trump at 286 electoral votes, and he's now re-elected president. Yeah, but there's two states left, and I think the state of Pennsylvania would go to the Democratic Party column because Kerry won this state in 2004, and it's inherently a blue state, but Donald Trump just came to win the state by a small margin in 2016, and I think it's still flippable. And the special election in Pennsylvania that Connor Lamb won, I think it shows that the Democratic Party has the momentum in this state. Although Connor Lamb is a moderate candidate and somewhat conservative, but Kerry's also a moderate Democrat, so yeah, I think he would be able to flip back the state of Pennsylvania, and he would be able to flip back the state of Michigan because Michigan voted very narrowly for Donald Trump in 2016, and Kerry's a strong candidate enough to win Michigan, although a lot of Democrats might come out and vote for him, but I still think that the state of Michigan would be flipped back since in 2016 Trump's opponent was Hillary Clinton, and Clinton was so unpopular, but so was Trump. But anyway, Kerry's a strong candidate, so I think he would carry Michigan's 16 electoral votes. So this is the final electoral map with Donald Trump having 286 electoral votes and John Kerry having 262 electoral votes. So Trump is re-elected president, and he becomes the second president since FDR to be re-elected with fewer electoral votes. So Thank you guys so much for watching. You can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.